would outlaw protests, confront protesters, and kill so many as is the case now. We never expected the state-sponsored genocide that is taking place. My intention, therefore, is to jumpstart a candid discussion about these developments, share our fears and perspectives, and listen to yours too. The most important discussion in our country today is the high taxes, rising cost of living, and the ensuing protests. Although the tax protests had been initiated by Azimio, it has since gone beyond the party. After the passage of the Finance Act, Kenyans have defied party, political and regional divides and united to resist punitive taxation and demand the lowering of the cost of basic commodities. That the tax burden is unbearable is no longer a party issue. It is a Kenyan issue. The response by the state to the protests has given way to something that now looks like even more ominous than the high cost of living that the protests were initially about. We are witnessing unprecedented police brutality. We are also witnessing an unprecedented phenomenon of the state resorting to armed militia to quell protests. You have visited hospitals and morgues, and you have established that police and hired gangs have shot and killed or wounded scores of people at close range. Some have been shot from the back as they fled or in a position of surrender. The shots have been aimed at the vital organs and the delicate parts of the victims, like the stomach, the spine, the heart, the chest, and the head. All the victims have been unarmed. Underscore the word unarmed. These protests were about the cost of living and excessive taxation, and they will continue as such. But we are now forced to deal with the question of policing in a supposedly democratic state like Kenya. Police being deployed to break the protests have failed to act in accordance with the Constitution and the law. First, there is no legal backing for police breaking up protests. The protests are protected by Section 37 of the Constitution. We are left wondering whether the Constitution has been suspended or the Constitution itself is a lie. Even if we were to assume that police have a right to break up protests, which they don't have, there is no justification whatsoever for the use of live bullets against unarmed civilians. If the aim is to break up protests, then what is the justification for police to pull people out of their homes and shoot or clobber and kill them, as is happening in parts of the country, particularly in Kisumu and the slums of Nairobi? When police follow you into your house and start clobbering or shooting, what are you supposed to do? We expect security forces to carry out their duties and responsibilities with a complete impartiality and without regard to ethnicity, political persuasion, or other partisan considerations. In these protests, the police are partisan. They have ethnic formations, and they are pursuing an ethnic agenda. That is why we believe we are in the formative stages of genocide and political persecution sanctioned by the state, like happened to the Jews in Germany. The deployment of the police officers in parts of the country, including Nairobi, depicts a determination by the state to perpetuate ethnic cleansing. Going back to the Finance Act,